Right now, hidden in the frozen skies of Scandinavia, Sweden is building something that's making Pentagon analysts lose sleep. A fighter jet so advanced, so stealthy, it's rewriting the rules of air combat. While China shows off their J-36 and America debates the fate of NGAD, Sweden, a country most people associate with IKEA and meatballs, is quietly developing a sixth-generation monster that could change everything. They're not bragging about it. They're not tweeting concept art. They're just building it. And what they're planning will shock you. Welcome to Frontline, where we bring you the stories behind the world's most advanced military technology. Today, we're diving into one of the most secretive fighter programs on Earth. Sweden's Flag System 2020 isn't just another concept on paper. It's a fully funded, actively developing program that's hitting milestones while the rest of the world argues over budgets. Stick around, because what you're about to learn will change how you think about the future of air power. If you're proud of nations stepping up their defense game, type proud in the comments below. The surprising leader. Let's get something straight. When most people think about cutting-edge fighter jets, Sweden doesn't top the list. We think about the United States, with the F-22 and F-35. We think about China's massive military investments. Maybe Russia's Su-57 comes to mind despite its struggles. But Sweden, the country, has a population smaller than Los Angeles County. Yet here they are developing a sixth-generation fighter that has defense experts around the world taking notes. Here's why this matters. Sweden has been punching above its weight in military aviation for decades. The Saab Gripen fighter, their current workhorse, is known worldwide as one of the most cost-effective, reliable fighters ever built. Countries that can't afford American F-35 seconds buy Gripens. Brazil, Hungary, Thailand, the Czech Republic, they all fly Swedish Iron. The Gripen can operate from highways, requires minimal maintenance, and costs a fraction of what other modern fighters demand. Sweden learned to do more with less, and that philosophy is about to pay enormous dividends. But the Flag System 2020 project represents something completely different. This isn't about affordability or efficiency anymore. This is about domination. Sweden joined NATO in 2024 and suddenly found itself on the front lines of a new Cold War with Russia. The stakes changed overnight. The Swedish Air Force realized their Gripens, as good as they are, won't cut it in the 2040 seconds and beyond. They need something revolutionary. In October 2025, just weeks ago, Sweden's Defense Material Administration awarded Saab a contract worth $2.66 billion Swedish kroner, roughly $276 million, to continue developing this beast. That's on top of previous contracts. They're not window shopping. They're committed. The timeline calls for design drawings of a demonstrator aircraft by the end of 2025. That's just weeks away. Then comes a flying prototype expected around 2027, with a final decision on full-scale production planned for 2030. By 2035, if everything stays on track, the Swedish Air Force could have operational sixth-generation fighters patrolling Nordic skies. Compare that to America's NGAD program, which is currently in limbo due to cost concerns and strategic disagreements. Compare it to Britain's Tempest program, which keeps getting delayed. Sweden is moving forward while others hesitate. What makes it sixth generation? Let's talk about what actually makes a fighter sixth generation. This isn't just marketing hype. There are specific capabilities that define this new class of aircraft, and Sweden is checking every single box. First, stealth, but not the stealth you're used to. Fifth-generation fighters like the F-22 and F-35 pioneered radar-evading designs with their angular shapes and special coatings. Sixth-generation stealth goes further. We're talking about materials so advanced they absorb radar waves across multiple frequencies. We're talking about reduced infrared signatures that make the aircraft nearly invisible to heat-seeking missiles. We're talking about designs that minimize acoustic signatures, meaning these jets will be quieter than anything flying today. Saab is researching all of this right now with help from GKN Aerospace, which just received a €59.5 million investment to expand their advanced manufacturing capabilities specifically for this project. Second, artificial intelligence integration. The Flag System 2020 will have AI assistance that goes far beyond what current fighters offer. We're not talking about autopilot. We're talking about AI that helps the pilot process battlefield information in real time, suggests optimal tactics, manages complex weapon systems, and coordinates with other aircraft and drones without the pilot getting overwhelmed. The AI becomes a co-pilot that never gets tired, never loses focus, and processes data faster than any human brain could manage. Third, and this is the game changer, manned-unmanned teaming. This concept, sometimes called loyal wingman technology, means one pilot in the Flying System 2020 can control multiple unmanned combat drones simultaneously. Picture this: a Swedish pilot flying over the Baltic Sea, surrounded by 3 or 4 advanced drones. Those drones can fly ahead to scout enemy positions, draw enemy fire, launch missiles, conduct electronic warfare, or even sacrifice themselves to protect the manned aircraft. The pilot stays out of danger while the drones take all the risk. It's like playing chess, but you have pawns that can fly at Mach 2 and carry missiles. Before we dive deeper, please take a second to like this video and subscribe. Over 98% of viewers watch without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it means a lot to us. The drones themselves are fascinating. Early concept images show sleek, supersonic unmanned platforms that share design components with both the manned fighter and the existing Gripen E. This modular approach means lower costs, faster development, and easier maintenance. A mechanic trained on Gripen E systems can work on these new drones without completely retraining. That's smart engineering. The design philosophy: fight from anywhere. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Sweden isn't trying to copy America or China. They're building something uniquely suited to their needs, and that might actually make it more effective than larger, more expensive programs. The current design concepts show a single-engine aircraft with a dual-wing configuration. Think of it like having a smaller wing forward of the main wing, similar to what you see on China's J-20. This setup provides extra lift and stability, especially at lower speeds. Why does that matter? Because it means the aircraft can slow down for precision attacks without losing control. It can loiter over a battlefield longer. It can operate from shorter runways, which is critical for Sweden's defense strategy. Sweden has always planned to fight from dispersed locations. If war breaks out, Swedish fighters won't cluster at big, vulnerable air bases. They'll operate from highways, forest clearings, even reinforced roads in small towns. The Gripen was designed for this from day one, and the Flying System 2020 continues that tradition. You can't take out Sweden's Air Force with a few missile strikes on major bases because the jets will be scattered across the country, ready to fight from anywhere. The airframe itself features a blended wing body design, meaning the fuselage smoothly merges with the wings instead of having clear separation. This isn't just about looking sleek. It dramatically reduces radar returns. Radar waves hit the aircraft and scatter in unpredictable directions instead of bouncing back to enemy receivers. Combined with advanced radar-absorbing materials, this makes the Flying System 2020 extremely difficult to track. 2 vertical tail fins provide vectoring control, allowing for exceptional maneuverability. Early reports suggest V-tail configurations are being tested, which would further enhance stealth characteristics while reducing drag. Every design choice serves multiple purposes: performance, stealth, cost-effectiveness, and maintainability. Peter Nilsson, Saab's head of advanced programs, explained their approach in an interview last year. He said Sweden has never been in a better position to develop a new fighter. They have a trained workforce fresh off developing the Gripen E and the Global Eye surveillance aircraft. They have modern digital engineering tools that can simulate and test designs without building expensive physical prototypes. And they have partnerships with international suppliers who provide components, while Sweden maintains control over the overall design. This is the Gripen model scaled up. About 85% of the Gripen E comes from partner companies, many of them foreign, but Saab integrates everything into a unified Swedish-controlled system. The same approach will work for Flying System 2020. Sweden gets world-class components from specialists around the globe, but they keep the design authority and intellectual property at home. That means no foreign government can veto Swedish defense decisions or cut off access to critical technology. The system of systems. Here's what really sets Sweden's approach apart from everyone else. They're not just building a fighter jet, they're building an entire combat ecosystem. The term system of systems gets thrown around a lot in military circles, but what does it actually mean? It means the manned fighter is just one piece of a larger puzzle. The fighter works alongside unmanned aircraft of various types, some supersonic and stealthy for penetrating enemy defenses, others slower and cheaper for surveillance or electronic warfare. There are missiles and bombs, obviously, but also command and control networks that link everything together. Ground stations, satellites, naval vessels, and even infantry units all feed information into this network. The pilot in the Flag System 2020 becomes more like a battlefield commander than a traditional fighter jockey. They're not just flying their own aircraft, they're orchestrating an entire aerial operation. The AI helps manage the complexity, but the human makes the final tactical decisions. Should the lead drone engage that enemy radar site? Should the surveillance drone push further into contested airspace? Should we call in support from allied F-35 seconds operating nearby? The pilot decides, and the system executes. This approach multiplies combat power exponentially. One Flag System 2020 with 3 loyal wingman drones can cover as much airspace and engage as many targets as 4 or 5 traditional fighters. But you only risk one pilot. You only need one highly trained human in the cockpit. The drones can be relatively simple and cheap by comparison. And if one gets shot down, you haven't lost a billion-dollar aircraft and a pilot who took 10 years to train. Sweden is also researching something called shared DNA between different platforms. This means the manned fighter, the various drone types, and even the Gripen E share common systems and components. Same engines, same avionics, same weapons, interfaces. This dramatically reduces logistics costs and training time. A pilot transitioning from Gripen E to Flag System 2020 won't feel like they're learning a completely new aircraft. Much of the interface and operation will be familiar. And here's something that should worry potential adversaries. Sweden is testing autonomous Gripen E fighters right now, not unmanned, where a pilot controls it remotely. Autonomous, where the AI flies the mission itself with minimal human oversight. They're partnering with a company called Helsing, which specializes in AI for defense applications. These tests are laying the groundwork for the loyal wingman drones that will fly alongside Flag System 2020. Strategic implications. Let's zoom out and think about what this means for global air power. Sweden is now a NATO member, standing shoulder to shoulder with the United States and other allies. The Baltic Sea region has become one of the most tense flashpoints in the world. With Russia on one side and NATO on the other, Sweden's geographic position is critical. Their air force needs to control the skies over Scandinavia and the Baltic approaches. With Flag System 2020 entering service in the 2030 seconds, they'll have the most advanced fighters in the region, potentially even more capable than the F-35 seconds flown by other NATO members, at least in certain mission profiles. This creates an interesting dynamic. American defense planners have been worried about the high cost of NGAD and whether the US can afford to procure enough 6th-generation fighters. Sweden might provide a solution. If Flag System 2020 proves successful, other NATO countries might want in. Smaller nations that can't afford to develop their own 6th-generation programs could partner with Sweden, spreading development costs and creating a common platform across the alliance. Poland, Finland, Norway, the Baltic states, all of these countries face similar threats and have similar operational requirements. A Swedish 6th-generation fighter designed for dispersed operations, highway basing, and Baltic air defense would fit their needs perfectly. Suddenly, Sweden's modest program could become a major export success, just like the Gripen before it. There's also the innovation factor. Sweden is pushing boundaries in areas where American and European programs have been cautious. The heavy emphasis on manned-unmanned teaming, the modular system of systems approach, the plan to share components across multiple platform types. These are bold choices that could set the standard for how 6th-generation air combat actually works. Right now, defense analysts around the world are watching Swedish progress closely. The first demonstrator flights in 2027 will be a major milestone. If Saab delivers on its promises, if the technology works as advertised, it will validate Sweden's entire approach and potentially influence how other nations develop their own 6th-generation programs. Challenges and reality check. Now, let's be honest about the challenges. Developing a 6th-generation fighter is extraordinarily difficult and expensive. Sweden is attempting something that even the United States, with a defense budget larger than the next 10 countries combined, is struggling with. The cost issue is real. The Gripen's biggest selling point has always been affordability. The flag system 2020 won't be cheap. Advanced stealth materials cost a fortune. AI systems require massive software development. Testing and refining new technologies burns through money at an alarming rate. The current contracts total hundreds of millions of dollars, but full-scale development and production will cost billions. For a small country like Sweden, that's a significant burden. There's also the technology risk. Sweden is pushing into territory where only the United States and China have operated. Can they actually deliver radar-absorbent materials as effective as American coatings? Can their AI systems match or exceed what the US is developing? Can they solve the complex problems of manned-unmanned teaming and combat conditions? These are open questions. Timeline risk is another factor. The plan calls for a demonstrator by late 2025, prototype flights in 2027, and operational aircraft by 2035. That's an aggressive schedule. Programs this complex almost always face delays. Technical problems crop up. Testing reveals flaws that require redesigns. Budgets get cut. A lot can go wrong between now and 2035. And there's still the possibility Sweden might not go through with it. The final decision won't come until 2030. By then, circumstances might have changed. Maybe the threat environment looks different. Maybe other options become available, perhaps joining Britain's Tempest program or purchasing a foreign design. Maybe budget pressures force a rethink. Nothing is guaranteed. But here's what we do know. Sweden is serious. They're investing real money. They're hitting milestones. They're not just drawing pretty pictures. They're conducting wind tunnel tests, developing materials, writing software, and building partnerships. The momentum is real. Conclusion: the frozen skies are heating up. Sweden's Flag System 2020 represents something special in the world of military aviation. It's a small nation refusing to be sidelined in the next generation of air combat. It's smart engineering and strategic thinking, combined with genuine technological ambition. Whether it will completely dominate future air combat remains to be seen. That's a high bar, but it will certainly be a force to be reckoned with. The frozen skies of Scandinavia are about to get a lot more interesting. Sweden is building the future, one design milestone at a time, and the world should be paying attention. If you found this deep dive valuable, hit that like button and subscribe to Frontline Eye for more stories about the technology protecting our freedom. The next few years will be critical for this program, and we'll be here to cover every development. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.